Hello, people. I just wanted to talk today about religion, at least a monotheistic patriarchal religion that goes hand in hand with the age of Pisces, and I just wanted to say what a bad thing it is. Um, I have always thought religion was a bad thing. People say, oh yes, but people, thanks to religion, good things happen. There's a lot of charity work that goes on with ties to religion, but I think that good people do good deeds anyway. However, in the name of religion, good people do bad deeds, and bad people use religion as an excuse to do bad things as well. I mean, the amount of persecution and of cruelty and immoral behaviour, the amount of damage caused by religion far outweighs any good it could have done. In any case, I think that, good deeds should come from the heart and not from a guy in a dress telling you to do good deeds. Um, I just don't think that it's authentic. I think it takes all of the authenticity out of spirituality. Now, I just want to right now say that I'm not against holy books, holy texts like the Bible. I think when you use your intelligence when you read them, they can be a good thing. You can get good stuff out of them. You must bear in mind that most of these have been translated and edited by people with agendas of control and manipulation. And when you bear that in mind and you don't take these stories literally, you realise that they're metaphorical. Then you can actually gain something out of it. Um, Religious books are not religion. They're not one and the same. You know, the Bible. I haven't read it that much. I mean, I went to Sunday school as a kid, and I also went to catechism because I was born Catholic. Um, so I know the stories. I couldn't quote the Bible, but I'm fairly familiar with some of the stories. Um, but for me, they were fiction. You know, there was Jesus was no more real than the fairy godmother in Cinderella, and it was just as crazy to believe that Jesus actually exists as it was to believe that the fairy godmother in Cinderella actually existed. Um, and I still, to this day, I believe more in mermaids than I do in the historical Jesus. But it's not a problem, it doesn't matter. But it's just that when you believe that there really was a historical Jesus, it's then that people start to take the stories literally. And they're not literal, they're actually astrotheology, which basically means that the characters and stories in these books is a metaphor for the stars and planets moving around in the heavens, which in turn is a metaphor for things that go on within us on a spiritual and energetic level. And it's really quite fascinating. And I highly recommend that any of you who are not familiar with astrotheology check it out. And I think some of the best names in astrotheology, I would say, are Bill Donahue, Santos Bonacci, and Jordan Maxwell. Those are three that I would highly recommend that you listen to. Another subject that ties into my views on religion is Gnosticism. Now, I'm reading John Lash's book on Gnosticism called Nod in His Image, and I really think that John Lash is probably the best researcher on Gnosticism because he hasn't got this religious filter on. A lot of the scholars that have looked into this are from a Christian or Jewish background, and obviously their work is their perception, their interpretation of this is heavily influenced by that religious background. And John Lash is more neutral, which is very refreshing, and it means you don't have to sift through as much garbage, which as a truther, we all know that's one of the things that we have to do all the time, sifting through garbage to get to the truth. I'm not saying it's pure truth, but it's a clean analysis of it. It's a nice, clean analysis of the very little information we have on the Gnostics and their teachings, because most of it actually comes from Christian propaganda, anti-Gnostic propaganda, because they were absolutely wiped out by Christians. They were not Christians. Gnostics were not Christians. They were wiped out by the Christians, and so was their work, which is a great loss for humanity, if you want my opinion. But there you are, and you have to ask yourself, why did the Christians go to so much effort to destroy the Gnostics and their teachings? And I would say that the logical answer to that, although it cannot be proven, is that there was a lot of truth in what they said, and the truth, of course, sets you free. When you know the truth, you cannot be manipulated. And that's what religion is all about. That is what organised religion is all about. Now, Gnosticism was not an organised religion. It was spirituality. It really was. And it was authentic. And they did believe that each person must find their own way. And you cannot just, sign up to a set of beliefs like that. And I've always felt that. I've always thought that religion is not genuine faith. You cannot just believe in, a whole list and agree with everything on the list. And if you don't agree with everything on the list, then you're not really Christian, or whatever other religion, whatever brand of Christianity, Mind you, I tell you, there are quite a few brands of Christianity that you can choose from, but, I think they're all wrong, because they're all the monotheistic, patriarchal religions are worshipping a demented off-world god, basically, which automatically takes you away from the sanctity of humanity. We all have a divine spark in us. We all have a bit of divinity in us, a divine side to us. And for me, religion just takes that away from us. And it makes us strive to not be human. It condemns human nature, basically. And it's contributed to the society in which we live today, the patriarchal, hierarchical society in which we live today, with lots of moral relativism and blind obedience out of fear. And now that brings me to the Redeemer complex, that we need saving, that we are these poor, wretched souls that need saving, and, we must be redeemed, and, we need to be saved, and anybody who doesn't believe must be punished, and, it's really unhealthy, it really is. And it takes us away from who we really are. As I said, it makes us do bad things. It preaches against human nature, and for me, the fact that it's contributed to the society in which we live today, the system, and all of that, that has created the human condition. And I have to say, there's a difference between the human condition and human nature. For me, human nature is a good thing. Humans are naturally loving creatures. We are part of nature. We should be living a symbiotic relationship with the planet and with nature. But we have got this little something that sets us apart from the rest of the planet, from the other species on the planet. We have this little thing, this little extra, which doesn't make us better, but it does give us a certain responsibility. And we need to stop believing in these external authorities, such as, from now I'm talking about religion, so it will be the religious hierarchy, God, and all that sort of crap. But it also applies to the state and everything, statism, because statism is a form of religion to me as well. It's the blind belief that, that we need the state, that we need controlling. And I think that if you believe that the human condition, this competitive, you know, individualistic, you know, kind of, you know, attitude, if you like, this dog eat dog paradigm is human nature, then I can understand you thinking that we need controlling. But I don't believe that is. I think that's a human condition. I think that's come about because of the world we live in, the world that has been created. And I really do think that religion is at the very foundation of that. Although people don't think that we live in a particularly religious world anymore in the 21st century, but actually we do. There is a lot of blind belief, a lot of mindless obedience going on. And so yeah, and also another thing with this patriarchal monotheistic religion is the imbalance. As I said, it's taking us, it's suppressing human nature and nature in general. And the fact is, how unnatural it is to have one male god. Hello? That's just unnatural, I'm sorry. And how come in that case, if it was the male that created the world, how come it's women that give birth and that are the nurturing force in this world? And I always thought from very early years that women were actually closer to God in that respect, since they were the ones that had the babies and fed the babies and took care of, they contributed more to the creation of life than men did. I'm not criticising men for that, that's just the way that nature is. And so how unnatural it was to have a male creator God. It's just all topsy-turvy. And as the Gnostics would have said, they who so passionately opposed these monotheistic religions that were their downfall in the end, this is very archontic. Now the Archons are, well, I suppose, a negative force in our world. And David Icke actually talks about them. The reptilian thing, it's the Archons. He has a slightly different take from John Lash, but it's all tied in, and it's very interesting, tying that in with psychopathy and the reptilian theory, and it does tie in very heavily to religion, because their speciality is counter-mimicking, because they cannot create, they have no imagination like us humans do, and they're jealous of that. And since they can't be like us, they want us to be like them. And they've been manipulating us for a very long time through counter-mimicking. That is to say, inversing things, if you see what I mean. We've got, like, look at the world today. Like David Icke will tell you this. You've got medicine that actually destroys health. You've got education that makes us more stupid. You've got religion that has warped and twisted spirituality. It's all warped and twisted and inversed and messed up completely. And, even another thing that's linked to religion, and it's up to you if you believe this or not, and I wouldn't be surprised if it were true. Now, these Archons, they have a king, who goes by many different names, but I call him the Demiurge, the demented Demiurge. And you know what? He is at the heart of all religions. And worshipping any god or the devil feeds him, basically. He is all of them. Just the same entity putting on a different mask each time. And yes, they can appear under different forms. They're non-physical entities. Um, so yes, obviously they could appear to us. They cannot live on the earth, but they can interact with us, according to the Gnostics. And yeah, that might be something. If you haven't heard of the Archons, um, another thing to look into, it really is. But there's a lot of disinfo out there about them as well. There is so much disinfo out there. But anyway, all in all, I've been going on for like a quarter of an hour here, and I don't know how coherent I've been, but in any case, I just want to really sum this up in that I believe the world would be a better place without organised religion, because it takes you away from true spirituality, it takes you away from nature, it encourages discrimination, it encourages violence, it condones acts that are immoral and harmful and destructive, and instead of making bad people do good things, it makes good people do bad things, and it just gives people an excuse to just be evil, basically. But as the Gnostics would say, it's error that leads to evil. And I think they were spot on there. Anyway, I hope I've made some sense. In any case, I think I've made myself quite clear. And I shall be back with another video when I shall be back with another video.